Welcome to Florida. I chose my shirt today just for this webinar, hoping that those of you that are new Floridians have gone out and bought plenty of shirts with hibiscus and large leaves and palm fronds and things on them as you're adjusting to life as new Floridians. Obviously, during the pandemic particularly, we've had a whole lot of people go ahead and make the decision to come to Florida permanently. I had one new client say to me, well, being from New Jersey, I think there's kind of a law that we have to move to Florida. And so I thought this was the good opportunity to do so. I thought that was pretty funny. So I believe that I have lived in Florida now 43 years, which may be the full lifetime of some of you. Grew up in St. Petersburg, and after law school, moved to Jacksonville Beach, by way of Atlantic Beach, which is another one of our towns, and opened my practice in Ponte Vedra 30 years ago. Moved here in '85 and I went solo in 1991. So I've been in the habit of welcoming people to Florida for a long time. You know, our saying is leave nothing but footprints. And we, of course, encourage everyone to take great care of the beauty that nature provides us here in Florida. There are other things you need to take care of. Oh, I forgot. Maybe some of you are new. Been doing this for so long now. I'm John Miller, founding attorney of Rock Solid Law and Title. And we practice in three areas. We close real estate professionally and on time, both residential, commercial, refinances as well. I serve small business owners as outside general counsel, everything from setup to transition planning. And in conjunction with the transition planning, some 30, maybe 25 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, I started helping families with estate planning, which really is our wheelhouse, and we love to do everything from will packages all the way through sophisticated trust planning for tax purposes and otherwise. I won't get too much into it today, but we feel like we're a little different than other firms. We have always been at the beach, and we maintain what we call a beach professional attitude. I can wear a shirt like this to work, for instance, and still provide very professional legal services. Our planning is values-based. Those are your values that we care about. And whatever is important to you is what we want to incorporate in the plan that we ultimately draft. The words are important, but the concepts behind the words are more important than that. So welcome. Congrats for taking a few minutes this morning. And I always like to say, no question's a bad question, except the unasked question. We do consider our webinars a cone of silence and ask people not to share outside of the webinar anything anybody asked. Of course, you are very welcome to share anything that you might have learned. So, you know, we have a lot of brand new Floridians. Some people maybe one, maybe less than 5 years, even 10 years. 10 years ago, our power of attorney laws changed. So the new Floridians need to take into consideration the fact that the plan that they may have properly created in the state from which you came may or may not fit in under Florida's laws. Our laws are different, and we're gonna cover in this session a few examples of how our laws are different and how it might be useful to have your plan reviewed for potential update. I find a lot of people did their plan right when they had their children who are now adults. But especially in light of the fact that you are a new Floridian, or may be a new Floridian, or maybe about to be a new Floridian, you'll need to have yours looked at by our firm or another to make sure that everything is appropriate. I would hazard a guess that at least your powers of attorney need to be updated, because most of those reference state statute. And now that you are in Florida, they will need to be made proper for our state laws. So I only practice in Florida. I'm also licensed in DC, member of all of the courts of Florida and the United States Supreme Court. this is really about you and those you love. And whether you've been here 1 year or 44 years like me, Florida has some differences. So let's hit a few of them. One, people learn to use the terminology executor or executrix in many other states, including right across the border in Georgia, but most of the northeastern states. And I like to joke that we don't talk like that. Those terms are not in common usage here. We understand what they mean, and they're not fatal if included in documentation. However, the role that those folks would play in a probate of a will is called a personal representative here in Florida. The personal representative is the one who is appointed by the court to bring the will before the court and to shepherd that will with the assistance of counsel through the court process so that the intent of the testator is carried out. I like to say that in Florida, we wear flip-flops when we're not barefooted, and we like to just call that position a PR. So there's a little tip. When you hear somebody talking about a PR, they're talking about the personal representative in a probate estate under a will, and each person who creates a will typically appoint a first choice and then an alternate in case the first choice is unable or unwilling to serve. Another thing that you need to know in Florida is that homestead is sacrosanct here. It has been said by the Supreme Court of Florida that the homestead law, which is now included in our Constitution, is the greatest beneficence ever bestowed upon a population by its government. So our homestead is different than other places. It is stronger. And in all of your planning, you want to make sure that your counsel is protecting your homestead and not taking any action which under which you could lose your homestead rights. It is possible to waive them by creating inefficient documents. A little history. I like to say that, and I have Irish blood, so I can say this, but the debtors' prisons were let out in Ireland. It's well known that a lot of those people went to Savannah and other places in Georgia. I like to hypothesize that the ones who couldn't make it in Georgia came south to Florida, and those are the ones that made our laws. Now, I don't know if there's any historical accuracy to that at all. Having researched the issue, Florida was like the West, a place where they wanted to attract settlers. And at that point in time, if you think before electricity, we were essentially an alligator and mosquito-ridden swamp. It was hot, and most people didn't want to live here. So what the territory of Florida offered was that if a family would relocate here, regardless of a failure on business or otherwise, that they could not lose their home, their homestead. So it gave assurance, typically in that era, to the mother that if she relocated her family with children here, they would at least have a place to live, no matter how poorly the breadwinner performed. That was the genesis of our homestead law. We became a state. It was incorporated in state law and then ultimately into our Constitution. So homestead is absolutely essential that we take into consideration in estate planning in Florida. Another one is the signing requirements. Every state may have different signing requirements. I have actual experience in learning that some of the states in the northeastern United States do not share our signing requirements, and some of the requirements which are sufficient up there are not sufficient in Florida. I had an unfortunate case where an adult client's parent had passed away, and the will was executed in, I believe it was New York, but one of the northern states. And unfortunately, their requirements were less than ours, and the will was not admissible without going through a whole lot of procedural twists and turns. When I say procedural twists and turns, I mean that cost a lot of money that the family should have never had to pay to get that will before the court. One of the things is you can go find the witnesses and have them do an affidavit. A hazard of estate planning law is that a lot of the attorneys involved in it are older attorneys. And like many of his brethren at the bar, the attorney that had crafted that will had retired. We were able to find him ultimately, but it took an investigator, etc. This issue could have been so easily resolved if this gentleman had had his parent come in to see us or another lawyer like us during your lifetime, executed the proper documents, and had that will made current under Florida law. So those are just some examples of things. We never know what's going to come up in any given plan until we review it and see whether it's appropriate under our law. I call it choosing probate. If you don't have any planning at all, or if you have merely a will and not a trust plan, you are choosing probate. And unfortunately, there are many so-called reputable law firms that will intentionally put their clients through probate. And I believe that is because it is profitable for the law firm only, not for the family. This is something that we try to protect you against if at all possible. Probate is expensive, time-consuming, emotional, and you're putting your family through this court suit at a time when they really ought to be celebrating you. So don't choose probate unless it's appropriate. There are good reasons to do a probate. There are also many reasons to avoid it, right? I had one financial planner call probate, as I just described it, a retirement annuity for lawyers. Well, I don't agree with that retirement annuity, and I would like for you to help your family avoid funding that annuity. So at Rock Solid Law, we consider estate planning, celebrating your legacy, showing your love to those you treasure. And we can only do that by sitting and learning about you and your values. We'll consider a will. We'll consider a trust. We will recommend what we feel is best for you and your family, and you will tell us which you create your own plan basically by determining what you want to do. I can tell you that any power of attorney which is over 10 years old in Florida or comes from another state is likely obsolete. There are grandfathering clauses, which is good news. However, those seriously need to be updated. It's been 10 years since our laws changed in that regard, and we need to help everyone update those documents at least. I guess it's the age of my clients, I've had a whole lot of people recently who have children that have just turned 18. Another thing that needs to be done, and this is totally off subject, but it happens to be very relevant in my practice right now. We need a power of attorney and health, especially a healthcare surrogate from those new young adults so that their parents can continue to essentially parent them, to have the legal right to do the things you have always done. So for anybody that is coming in for another state, or anybody that just needs an update of their plan, you want it reviewed to see if it's appropriate under Florida law. I will offer, as a thank you for your attending this webinar, a free review of your plan, and also we'll waive the typical consultation fee to come in and talk to us about what needs to be done to properly update your plan now that you are a Floridian. So just so you know, if we meet, please know that the focus will be on you, your family, how you wish to be treated as you age. And we will write the penultimate chapters of your heroic life story so that you can be celebrated. It can be about your heirs. It can be about your legacy. But most of us care about something bigger than ourselves. And it's about deciding whether you're going to try to pay the mandatory taxes only, or you're going to pay some voluntary ones. Most of my clients don't want to pay more than they have to. We agree that mandatory taxes should be paid. We don't think our clients ought to pay any voluntary ones. There are two codes for taxes in the US, those for the informed and those for the uninformed. Be informed and only pay what you want to, and then you can redirect your savings to those you love and to use for yourself during your lifetime. We want to maximize your prosperity during your life, and it's about how you will share your life's abundance with those you treasure, how you want and when you want, at the least expense possible. Well, I really appreciate you guys joining me today. Welcome to Florida. I love our state. I hope that you will take the opportunity to learn some of the fantastic history of our state. We hope you're enjoying the beautiful weather that we're having right now. I love it here year round. Okay, February is a little cold for me, but other than that, it's a fantastic place to live. Hope you'll take the opportunity to come in and meet us. Appreciate you joining us. I'm going to turn you back over to the Commodores, and I am John Miller, Senior Attorney, Rock Solid Law and Title. Thanks for joining us. See you soon. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.